She demanded a wife's salary of $5,000 per month. Managing the household is a full-time job. We have no kids and a maid. I replied, "You're fired." Then I served her divorce papers citing poor performance and evicted her. She applied for unemployment but was denied. My wife suggested we have a financial discussion. Red flag number 1, she only calls them discussions when she wants money. We sat down at the kitchen table. She had a notebook, bullet points, a presentation. This was going to be bad. "I've been thinking," Jessica said, "about my contributions to this household." "Okay, and I think it's time we formalize my compensation." I blinked. "Your what?" "My salary. As your wife, I deserve to be paid for the work I do." I looked around our apartment, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. No kids, no pets, a maid service that comes twice a week that I pay for. What work? Managing the household, it's a full-time job. We have a maid, she only does cleaning. I do everything else. Like what? She consulted her notebook. Grocery shopping, meal planning, laundry coordination, appointment scheduling, social calendar management, emotional labor. Grocery shopping is clicking a button on Instacart. Our laundry goes to the wash and fold place. What appointments? My appointments, your appointments, our joint appointments. I schedule my own appointments. Well, I schedule mine, that counts. I rubbed my temples. Jessica, what is this really about? I saw a TikTok about wives who get paid salaries because being a wife is real work, and the comment said $5,000 a month is reasonable. $5,000, yes. A month, yes. For what specifically? I told you, managing the household. I sat back, stared at her. She was completely serious. Now I could have said no. I could have laughed. I could have pointed out that she works part-time as a social media manager, making $3,200 a month and contributes exactly $0 to rent, utilities, or groceries because we're married. What's yours is ours. But somehow what's hers is also hers. But that would have been the boring route. Instead, I said, "Okay." She blinked. "Really?" "Sure, but if I'm paying you a salary, this becomes an employment relationship, which means performance reviews. Metrics, professional standards." "That's fine." "Great. Let me draft an employment contract. And since you'll be receiving compensation, you'll need to take on additional responsibilities beyond what you currently do. Meal planning for the week, detailed household budgeting, maintenance scheduling, and monthly reporting. This will be actual work, not just what you're already doing." "That sounds like even more work." "Employment usually is, but you want the salary, right?" "Yes." "Then we formalize it properly." I spent the next 2 hours writing the most corporate, bureaucratic wife employment agreement possible. Pulled language from my own tech company's employee handbook, added sections about KPIs, performance improvement plans, and termination clauses. Specified the new duties that went beyond normal spousal contributions. Jessica skimmed it, saw $5,000 month salary, and signed. Mistake number 1. The next morning, I woke her up at 7 a.m. "What are you doing?" "Work starts at 8. You need to be ready." "Ready for what?" "Your job, which begins with our 8 a.m. stand-up meeting." "Our what?" "Daily stand-up, standard practice. Come on." She stumbled to the kitchen in her pajamas. I was already dressed, coffee made, sitting at the table with my laptop. "Okay," I said, clicking a pen. "Yesterday's accomplishments." "What? What did you accomplish yesterday in your role as household manager?" I don't know. Normal stuff." "Can you be more specific?" "I did laundry." "Great. Logged today's goals." "This is ridiculous." "Jessica, you wanted this to be a job. This is how jobs work." "Today's goals?" "I don't have goals. I'll just do stuff." "Unacceptable. You need at least 3 measurable objectives per day." "Fine. Grocery shopping, meal prep, and I'll organize the closet." "Excellent. End of day, we'll review completion status." She stared at me. "You're serious. You wanted a salary. Salary means accountability." That evening I did a check-in. "Grocery shopping status?" "Done." I ordered from Instacart. "Completion time?" "Like 10 minutes." "So task efficiency is high, but time logged is minimal." "Noted." "Meal prep?" "I made sandwiches for lunch." "Sandwiches. Preparation time? 5 minutes." "Noted." "Closet organization?" I didn't get to it. I typed on my laptop. "Failed to complete 33% of stated objectives. That's below performance standards." "Are you writing me up?" "It's a verbal warning. Next time it's documented." "This is insane." "You signed the contract." Week 2, I implemented additional policies. Time tracking. She had to log every task with start and end times. Submitted via shared Google Sheet. Why do I need to log that I took a shower? Personal grooming during work hours is acceptable but should be logged to distinguish from work tasks. I'm your wife, not your employee. You're both. You wanted the salary, you get the structure. She started logging everything. Passive-aggressively at first. 9:47 a.m. Thought about dinner options, 2 minutes. 11:23 a.m. Scrolled Instagram for meal inspiration, 34 minutes. Perfect. I now had documentation. Over the next few weeks, I introduced more systems. Performance metrics. She had to hit daily task quotas. You completed 4 tasks today. Target is 7. That's a 57% completion rate. Email communication requirements. Every request had to go through email, even when we were in the same room. She'd ask about dinner. I'd say, please submit that via email with the subject line, dinner request date. CCing herself on emails I sent her. Every single one. Her inbox filled with emails from me to her, CC'd to her. She complained. I said, maintaining communication trails is standard professional practice. Office hours between 2 to 3 p.m. only. Outside those hours, I was unavailable for household management questions. She had to submit a meeting request through our shared calendar. A label maker for organizational efficiency. She had to label everything. Pantry items, bathroom supplies, closet sections. I rejected her first attempts as unprofessional and made her redo them. Team building exercises including trust falls. I dropped her on the couch on the third one. Trust must be earned through consistent performance, I explained. A mandatory LinkedIn learning course on time management, 4 hours. She had to complete it by Friday. I hung the certificate on the fridge when she finished. An employee engagement survey. She was the only respondent. She scored herself 2 out of 10 for job satisfaction. I scheduled a one-on-one to discuss these concerning results. The corporate jargon reached peak absurdity. Every conversation became a business meeting. Jessica, I'm seeing some gaps in our sync regarding dinner alignment. What? Dinner? You said pasta. I was expecting chicken. I changed my mind. Process changes require stakeholder notification. Let's circle back and put a pin in this. She threw a spatula at me. Workplace violence is a terminable offense. By week 6, she was at her breaking point. But I wasn't done. I created a Slack workspace, just for us. She refused to join, so I kept adding her and she'd get email notifications. Jason mentioned you in meal planning. FYI, we're low on milk. Please advise on restocking timeline. She'd yell from the other room, just buy milk. I'd type back, thanks for the quick turnaround. Please log the purchase in the expense tracker. Week 7, I scheduled the performance review. She showed up to the kitchen table. I had a printed packet. Let's begin. Overall performance rating needs improvement. Excuse me? Productivity metrics show a 23% decline since program inception. Task completion rate is at 71%. Industry standard is 95%. What industry? Wife industry? Household management. There are benchmarks. This is absolutely insane. Page 3 outlines your performance improvement plan. 30 days to demonstrate measurable progress. Or what? Termination clause activates. You're going to fire me from being your wife? From the paid position, yes, the marriage would be separate but affected. She threw the packet at me. I'm not doing this anymore. Noted. Does this constitute your resignation? No. I still want the money. Then we continue with the PIP. The PIP was even more detailed. Daily check-ins, weekly reviews, bi-weekly one-on-ones. Every corporate buzzword I could think of. She lasted the 30 days. Barely. Week 11, I called the termination meeting. Jessica, please sit. What now? You're fired. Silence. What? Your employment is terminated, effective immediately. You can't fire me from being your wife. I'm not firing you from being my wife. I'm terminating your paid employment as household manager. I slid a folder across the table. Your performance over the past 11 weeks has not met minimum standards. Despite multiple interventions, including verbal warnings, documented feedback, and a comprehensive performance improvement plan, we've seen no meaningful progress. The money stops? The money stops. She stared at the folder, opened it. Inside was a termination notice with bullet points. Consistent failure to meet productivity targets. Poor time management. Inadequate documentation practices. Failure to demonstrate improvement during PIP period. Unprofessional conduct. Reference, I hate you comment. Documented 315. This is a joke. It's a legally binding termination of our employment agreement. And since your continued residence was contingent on your employment status per the housing addendum you signed, you have 30 days to vacate the premises. Vacate? This is my home. It's my apartment. I'm the only one on the lease. You signed a housing addendum acknowledging your residence was tied to your employment. Termination of employment triggers the 30-day notice period. You're evicting me? It's a termination of your housing arrangement per the agreement you signed. But yes, if you want to call it eviction, you have 30 days written notice to vacate. After that, I'll file for formal eviction if necessary. She was furious. Threw the folder, screamed, threatened to sue for wrongful termination. I calmly pulled out the second folder. Also, I'm filing for divorce. What? It's become clear that this relationship has broken down irreparably. The employment termination is separate from this, but both seem appropriate at this juncture. I slid the divorce papers across the table. She grabbed them, started reading, then stopped. Grounds for divorce? Poor performance? It's a no-fault state, but I wanted to maintain thematic consistency. You're citing my wife performance review scores and divorce paperwork? They're attached as exhibits, yes. She read more. You're requesting full custody of the apartment and the Netflix account. We don't have kids. No, but we do have a PlayStation. I'm requesting that too. She crumpled the papers. You're insane. I'm thorough. The next week she moved out, went to her sister's place, blew up my phone with increasingly unhinged texts about how I can't just fire someone from marriage and how this will never hold up in court. I responded professionally. Per company policy, all communication must be in writing. Please submit any concerns via email to my personal mail. Thank you. Then came the absolute best part. 2 weeks after she moved out, I got a call from the state unemployment office. Mr. Anderson, we have a claim filed by Jessica Anderson for unemployment benefits. She lists you as her previous employer. I almost choked laughing. Yes, that's correct. Can you confirm her employment dates? Started January 15th, terminated April 1st. 11 weeks total. Reason for termination? Poor performance. Failed to meet productivity standards despite multiple interventions. Was she laid off or fired? Fired. For cause. Can you provide documentation? Absolutely. I have her employment contract, performance reviews, PIP documentation, and termination letter. I can fax them over. That would be helpful. Thank you. I faxed everything. The whole ridiculous paper trail. Every spreadsheet, every email, every passive-aggressive label she made. The trust fall incident report. The Slack messages. Everything. The unemployment office called me back the next day. Mr. Anderson, I have to ask, is this real? Every page. She had to take a LinkedIn learning course, time management for professionals. She passed. And you made her do trust falls? Team building, standard practice. Long pause. Sir, we've reviewed the documentation. While the employment relationship appears unusual given your marital status, the documentation supports termination for cause. However, we're also noting this as a family employment situation, which typically raises red flags. We're denying the claim on 2 grounds. First, insufficient work history, only 11 weeks. Second, terminated for documented performance issues. Even if she appeals, the burden of proof is on her to show this was bona fide employment separate from marital duties, and your contract specifies duties beyond normal spousal contributions. So the claim is denied? Denied. She can appeal, but given the documentation, it's unlikely to succeed. Thank you for your thoroughness. 3 days later, Jessica called me, screaming, "They denied my unemployment." That's unfortunate, because you told them I was fired for poor performance. You were. I was your wife. You were my household manager. You wanted it treated as employment. Unemployment office agrees with that classification, but determined you were terminated for cause, which disqualifies you from benefits. This is fraud. Actually, you signed a contract. You received compensation for services. That's textbook employment. The fraud would be if I didn't report your income to the IRS, which I did. You'll be receiving a W-2 for tax purposes. Silence. A what? W-2, employee income form. Since I controlled your work hours, provided daily supervision, and directed all your activities, you're classified as an employee, not a contractor. You'll need to pay income taxes on the compensation you received. I already withheld and paid the employer portions. $15,000? Well, depends on your bracket. You made $15,000 over 11 weeks. After standard deduction, you're probably looking at around $2,000 to $3,000 total in taxes, federal and state combined. I already paid my half of FICA taxes as your employer. I don't have $3,000. Should have considered that before signing an employment contract. The W-2 will arrive in January. More screaming. I hung up. She tried to fight the divorce, claimed the whole employment thing was a sham and she deserved alimony. Her lawyer argued she was entitled to spousal support, that the employment arrangement was fabricated to avoid alimony. My lawyer presented the contract, the performance reviews, the PIP, the termination letter, the time logs, the emails, everything. Judge looked at everything, took his time, read through multiple pages. Mrs. Anderson, you're claiming this employment arrangement was illegitimate? Yes, he tricked me. Did you receive the payments? Yes, but did you sign the contract? Yes, but I didn't understand. Were you coerced? No, but did you perform the work specified in the contract? I tried to, but so you accepted a paid position, signed an employment contract, received compensation, performed work, and were subsequently terminated for documented performance issues after a formal improvement plan, correct? When you put it that way, is there any other way to put it? Her lawyer tried to interject. Your Honor, this was clearly a marital arrangement disguised as employment. Counselor, your client signed a contract specifying duties beyond normal spousal contributions. She accepted payment, she logged work hours, she participated in performance reviews, she completed mandatory training. This isn't a disguised marital arrangement, it's employment she agreed to and failed at. I see no grounds for alimony. Divorce is granted, no spousal support. Jessica tried one more thing. She filed a wrongful termination lawsuit in small claims court, claimed I had created a hostile work environment and fired her without cause. I showed up with 3 folders, tab dividers, color-coded documentation. She showed up with her sister and a notebook of handwritten complaints. Judge asked her to state her case. He fired me from being his wife. Actually, I interjected. I terminated her employment as household manager. The marriage dissolution was separate. She filed for wrongful termination. What's your defense? I opened folder 1. I have documented performance issues spanning 11 weeks. Written warnings issued in weeks 2, 4, and 5. A formal 30-day performance improvement plan issued after week 7. Daily check-ins showing continued performance deficiencies. And a termination meeting with documented cause. Judge flipped through the pages. This is extremely thorough. I work in HR, Your Honor. I believe in proper documentation. Judge looked at Jessica. Mrs. Anderson, do you have any evidence that this termination was wrongful? It's not real employment. You can't employ your wife. You can, actually. Family businesses do it all the time. Did you provide services? I did housework. And you were compensated? Yes. Then you were employed. Do you contest any of these documented performance issues? She looked at her notebook. He made me take a LinkedIn course. Professional development is standard. Next, he made me do trust falls. Team building exercises are common. Next, he CC'd me on my own emails. Judge looked at me. Is that true? Standard practice for documentation purposes, Your Honor. Judge looked back at Jessica. Anything that actually contradicts the termination cause? She had nothing. Case dismissed. Mr. Anderson, this is the most documented employment termination I'd ever seen in small claims. Thank you, Your Honor, I'm thorough. After that, Jessica finally gave up, signed the divorce papers, moved on. But the best part? The absolute cherry on top? 6 months later, I ran into her at a coffee shop. She was with some guy, new boyfriend, presumably. She saw me, looked like she wanted to run. I walked over, smiled. Jessica, good to see you. Don't talk to me. I just wanted to say, I think we both learned something from our experience. Go away. And I hope you're doing well. Really? She glared at me, stood up, started to leave. I called after her. Oh, and Jessica, if this one offers you a salary, read the contract first. She flipped me off. The coffee shop laughed. Her new boyfriend looked confused. Worth it. A year later, I'm still single. Still in the same apartment. Still paying the same maid service. Friends ask if I regret the whole thing. If maybe I went too far. Absolutely not. Jessica wanted to treat marriage like a job where she gets paid for existing. So I treated it like a job, with all the bureaucratic nonsense that entails. She thought she was gaming the system. Turns out she just enrolled herself in the worst corporate job of her life. My favorite part? She tells people I'm crazy, that I forced her into some weird employment thing. But she signed the contract, she cashed the checks, she wanted the money, and when it came with actual expectations and accountability, she couldn't hack it. So yeah, I fired my wife. Best termination I ever executed. Would I do it again? Probably not. It was exhausting. All that documentation, the emails, the spreadsheets, but watching her try to claim unemployment, watching her face when the judge dismissed her lawsuit, absolutely priceless. Some lessons are expensive. This one cost her $2,000 to $3,000 in income taxes and 0 unemployment benefits. Meanwhile, I saved $60,000 a year I would have wasted on someone who wanted to be paid to do literally nothing. The maid service still comes twice a week. The apartment is cleaner than ever, and I don't have to fill out a single performance review. Life is good. And if anyone asks, yes, I'm still doing wife performance reviews. Just kidding. I learned my lesson. Sort of. Actually, my girlfriend and I just moved in together last month. On the first day she joked, "So, what's my salary going to be?" I pulled out a folder. She went pale. "Kidding, I'm kidding." She didn't laugh. "But seriously," I said, "we need to discuss household responsibilities. Please tell me you don't have a spreadsheet." I opened my laptop, turned it around. She saw the blank Google sheet titled Household Task Distribution Matrix. "Oh my God. I'm joking. I'm joking." She threw a pillow at me. But here's the thing. She actually thought I was serious, because she'd heard the story. Everyone's heard the story. I'm the guy who fired his wife. And you know what? I'm fine with that. Because every time someone brings it up at a party, I get to watch their faces when I explain the unemployment claim. The laughter is always worth it. Jessica wanted $5,000 a month for being a wife. I said sure, but made her actually work for it. She couldn't. So I fired her. Simple as that. And somewhere out there, she's telling her version of this story to her new boyfriend. Probably leaving out the part where she signed the contract. Definitely leaving out the part where she tried to claim unemployment. But that's fine. I have the receipts. All of them. Literally. I kept everything. Because you never know when someone might ask, "Can you really fire your wife?" And I can pull out my phone and show them the termination letter, with poor performance listed as the reason.